In last week's video, I talked about setting media boundaries, and I'll link to that video in the description below in case you're interested. But today, I really want to hone in on one of the least boundaried ways that people consume social media specifically, and that's something called doom scrolling. Doom scrolling is exactly what it sounds like. It's sitting, looking at your computer or more often your phone, scrolling through a social media feed endlessly, just kind of feeling progressively worse and worse, but for some reason unable to stop. If you're a chronic doom scroller, you're not alone. A lot of people get caught in this cycle, and on my bad days, I'm a perpetrator of it myself. And if this is something that you do, then you know that you feel bad because you just have a barrage of news stories and scary, overwhelming information coming at you. But for some reason, you find it really hard to put the social media feed down and just walk away. And to understand why we do that, it's important to understand behavioral psychology 101. If you take a rat and you put it in a cage with a lever, and every time it presses the lever, it gets a pellet, at some point, the rat will grow bored of pellets or satiated in its hunger, and it'll stop pressing the lever. If you give the rat a pellet after every third push of the lever, the rat will learn that it needs to press the lever 3 times in order to get rewarded. And so when it wants a pellet, it'll come over and it'll press the lever 3 times and it'll get the pellet and it'll go away. But if you want that rat to press the lever forever without ever stopping, then you need something called an intermittent schedule of reinforcement, which means that sometimes it might be the second push that gives a pellet. Sometimes it might be the 26th push that gives the rat a pellet. But what you need to do is reward the behavior just frequently enough to make it worth continuing to stay and push, so that just when the rat is about to give up, there's a reward. And the rat thinks, well, if I hang out here for long enough, I'll keep getting pellets, so I better stay here and keep pressing this lever. That's what happens when we're doom scrolling. When we're scrolling through our social media feeds, we see a lot of dark or bad or uninteresting content, a lot of stuff that makes us feel sad or helpless or angry. But every so often, we see a really funny comic, or we learn about an event that we wouldn't have known about otherwise, or we get a life update from a friend we've fallen out of touch with that's really interesting and really compelling. And so social media inherently has an intermittent schedule of reinforcement, which makes it very hard to pause and walk away because we never know when we'll get rewarded next. The problem with this, though, is that the world is a really overwhelming place right now. So a lot of the content that we see in our social media feeds is inherently going to make us feel bad. Hence, doom scrolling, right? You scroll and you get a greater and greater sense of impending doom. So here are a few tips about how to stop doom scrolling if this is a cycle that you find yourself getting caught in. First of all, set a timer. I know that when I get caught doom scrolling, I'll be thinking to myself, I'm going to stop now. No, wait, one more post. Okay, now. Why am I still scrolling? If you have a smart home device, you might consider saying something like, Alexa, set 2-minute social media timer, so that something outside yourself is very easily keeping track of when it's actually time for you to turn it off and walk away. Second, state your intention out loud. People are much more likely to follow through on things that they've committed to, even if that commitment is as shallow as saying out loud in an empty room where it's just you, I'm going to put away my Facebook now. That's a greater commitment than just thinking, I should do this. So say it out loud, and that will help you put down your phone and move on with your day. Third, switch to a different app. There are probably apps on your phone that don't make you feel bad. There are probably apps on your phone that make you feel really fulfilled and gratified. And whatever those apps are for you, identify them and have a running list in your mind of apps that make you feel better instead of apps that make you feel worse. And if you find yourself doom scrolling, switch to an app that makes you feel better. And fourth, watch last week's video about media boundaries and implement some of those tips. Generally, these tips have to do with how much time and how you get your news and your information, as well as what time of day you consume this information. You can also use an app limiter to help you with this. There are apps that you can download that will turn off other apps on your phone after a certain amount of time, and that'll kick you off after a period of time. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, and I look forward to seeing you soon.